All right, we are now recording. Closed captions are on. I will share my screen. All right, can everybody see this okay? And can everybody hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well then, thank you everybody for joining this week's Brown Bag lunch presentation. It is spring. We just had our open house and we are getting this season started. So thank you for joining everybody. We're going to begin with a Wiyot tribe land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that Cal Poly Humboldt is on the land of the Wiyot peoples, which includes the Wiyot tribe, Bear River Rancheria, and Blue Lake Rancheria. Arcata is known as Gudini, meaning over in the woods or among the redwoods. Wiyot peoples continue to remain in relationship to these lands through ceremony, culture, and stewardship. And here at OLLI, we believe that learning should never end. This is a really cool picture that we took from our Trinidad Lighthouse tour. That's one of the many different in-person tours and classes that we offer here at OLLI. And this is just kind of a little graph of what our membership has been looking like since the COVID started. So kind of went down as is expected of COVID, but for this year, especially with the open house that we just had this Saturday, our membership is going up, 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 up. And there's a lot of reasons to join OLLI. But first off, OLLI is a membership-based program, and membership runs through July 1st through June 30th, and members must be renewed each year for students to remain active. Your primary membership for people 50 and better is $35 annually, which is a pretty good deal considering all the stuff that you get. Non-members pay an additional charge and are enrolled as space allow. So here are some of the OLLI benefits. So you get a lower class fee and first priority registration. You get a Cal Poly Humboldt email account, and that gives you different discounts to software. Sometimes you get like free access to software that's only limited to EDU accounts. There's tons of stuff with an EDU email that you get. You get a discount on the Jack Pass, which is $60 with enrollment in a fee-based class. And that transportation in and of itself is very, very, very valuable. Eligibility for course scholarships. You get student discounts at local businesses. You get to participate in OLLI special interest groups. And you also get a library card, like a library student ID card. And that gives you most of the same benefits that you would get if you were a full-time Cal Poly Humboldt student. Another really cool one I just figured out is that you get fall, spring, and summer semester rec center access. So if you wanted to go to the gym or visit the pool or use those amenities on campus, it's just $73 per semester or $28 for a month or $10 a day. But you get that access, which is good. And OLLI members can also participate in Let's Connect. Someone looks pretty familiar on that screen. That is Tracey Barnes-Priestley, who is our presenter for today. It's a free weekly chat via Zoom on Fridays from 10 to 11 a.m. There's all sorts of different topics that they talk about. And it began as a way to stay connected in isolation brought by COVID. So they've been actually become a weekly gathering or a regular gathering. And it's a great way for people to come together, talk about the interesting things that are going on. And all of this is facilitated through Tracey Barnes-Priestley. It's an hour long, the new topic each week. And so, yeah, think about it. Think about joining, think about doing these Let's Connects. And spring 2023 is basically here. We have more than 30 in-person classes and 40 online classes. So there's plenty of different available options and there's plenty of space open still. So come on our website at humboldt.edu/OLLI courses. It's the list of the full class schedule and all the information inside. And we just wanted to give a thank you to all the friends of OLLI. Our brown bag lunch presentations, Let's Connect groups, and all of our other programs would not be possible without your wonderful support. So thank you very much. And last but not least, thank you to all the OLLI volunteers. We really appreciated all your help this Saturday at the open house. And you are also very much appreciated, and we love you and your wonderful support. So thank you. And without further ado, I'm going to Start us off. OLLI Brown Bag presentation, What's on Your Bucket List with Tracey Barnes-Priestley. And I'm going to turn it over to Jane, who's going to introduce us.
Welcome to all of you. And I know some of you are very familiar with Tracey because you've participated with her in the chat. So let's connect. And or followed her on her paper column for years. And of course, she's been teaching. And hopefully you've been able to watch some of the videos in the past of these adventures that individuals in our community have done. So Tracey has an MA. She closed her clinical practice as a therapist and life coach after a 45-year career. Having written newspaper columns, magazine articles, books, and plays, she is surprised and quite satisfied to find herself happily employed as a television producer and host. She strongly believes in the value of trying new things, and a lot of people are having fun with her. Tracey, go for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Well, there's a part of me that almost feels like, aren't you guys sick of me yet? Because I just keep, one of the things I love about OLLI is that how I transitioned from a career, a 45-year career, and really, in part because of my experience with OLLI, have been able to just sort of morph into a whole other part of myself. So I really do thank OLLI for the opportunity it's given me over the years. Great to see so many people I recognize, and some new faces, definitely some new faces. So because some of you actually, don't know who I am, I want to go backwards before we go forwards a little bit of the topic to let you know about how I arrived at this place at 71 years old, that I would find myself a PBS host and producer, because trust me, it's not what I thought I'd ever be doing. The focus of the second half of my career really was on aging issues. As I aged, it became more and more interesting to me about this whole concept of aging, how we're succeeding in our culture, how we're totally failing, how it's being redefined. So I had a lot of professional interest in it. As for television, one day I just had this idea that I thought, elders we have a lot of life experience and life lessons that I think are valuable, we are not a culture that embraces aging or what we have to say. So I approached KEET in 2005 to do a small little show where I just interviewed folks. It was Life in the Second Half. And that is how I got my feet wet with television. And again, personally, it just charged me up when I saw what was possible. A couple of years after that, I helped co-found the Humboldt Light Opera Boomer Troupe, because again, I was looking for opportunities for people our age to be able to perform and share experiences and wisdom. So we got that going, and thanks to the support of OLLI, we've done 5 productions. COVID didn't even stop us. It may not have been our biggest hit, but we did a COVID show. That was the year that was. And for me, I think in looking at the last few years of my life, what's been the running theme in all of these things is that it's storytelling. I've written a novel, it's storytelling. And storytelling is, as we all know, goes back before written language. Everything was communicated through oral history, through sharing. And I guess I've got some DNA left over in my Neanderthal bones that says stories are where it's at. I think I want to approach this a little bit differently, because we're going to talk about season 2 of What's on Your Bucket List for sure. And I'm glad to see that some of my guests have showed up. I'm excited to have them here because I want them to speak to you about what the experience was like. But doing a second season for me really did solidify some things for me. It really helped me understand a little bit more about some aspects of aging that had been elusive. I want to tell you that there almost wasn't a second season. KEET had been wonderful and very supportive and very encouraged and very enthusiastic and said yes to another season. And this was in spite of the fact that The first season, we edited everything through COVID when we couldn't go into the studio and we had to learn how to do it online. And in spite of what a joyful, incredible experience it was, I wasn't completely sold on the idea. But quite honestly, the woman that got me to do this, Jan Ostrom, some of you may have known Jan, my very, very dear friend who also had 15 years experience with NBC down in Los Angeles in news and research. So she was the one that really took me by the hand and taught me so much of what I've learned about how to produce a television show. Well, my sweet pea Jan passed away. And I thought, why in the world would I want to do that without her? Because my recollection of producing season 1 was Jan and I would work, and then it'd be time to shoot, and we'd go on location and we'd laugh. And I'd make lots of mistakes, and she was warm and supportive and caring, and she'd go, no, and she'd kind of like, it's okay. And so I couldn't imagine going through season 2 without her. And then to make it worse, my dear brother up and died, right? Yeah. And he was always my biggest champion. I mean, oh, my Ricky was my guy. But an interesting thing happened, and I think it's age. A lot of it's age. New Year's of last year rolled around, and I was floundering. We all know what it's like. We're all losing friends and loved ones at this age, sadly. And I thought, okay, it's a new year. Take stock. Now, I don't do resolutions. I think New Year's resolutions are a waste of my time. But I did a little retrospective. I thought, what was the most fun, the most rewarding thing you've done in the last few years? And it was bucket list. It was bucket list because I got to use my brain. I got to be creative. And most of all, I got to make people happy. I mean, talk about a great job, right? You're making people happy. So I thought, all right, here we go. We're going to do season 2. And that's how this came about. So it really reinforced in me that one of the things that we're all grappling with age is the predictable losses we will experience, whether large or small, and working through the grief. And then what do we do with that? You know, and I am a great one in sort of honoring the grief process, for lack of a better word. But I do think there are things that need to be done. And this was a reminder for me. So that's how we came about this second season. Good old KEET. I want to clarify that I think, and I don't know, I know some of you personally, I certainly don't know a lot of you very well personally. There seem to be kind of 2 people in the world, and that's really the lowest common denominator, gross generalization. But a lot of people have said to me, oh, I don't have a bucket list. You know, I've just always done whatever I want to do and yada, yada, you know, which is great if that's the kind of person you are. A lot of people, that's not how they're wired at all. They're just not wired that way. And they have all kinds of other things going on. So I want to address the next section to those of you who may be thinking, oh, this would be fun, but. So I'm going to give you a little mini course on how to come up with your own bucket list, because this time that we have now is precious. It's really precious. And I want all of us to have maximum opportunity in spite of some of the limitations that may be coming our way. So grab a pen and paper if you want to take notes. If you want to ask questions along the way, Dane's going to help me keep on track with the chat. Feel free to interrupt me, Dane, because this is a kind of multitasking that, you know, may not be my forte. So we're going to do a little bucket list review, how to have your own bucket list. One of the things I want to do is to kind of redefine what is a bucket list. Historically, of course, it was from the movies, from the books. What are you going to do before you kick the bucket, right? There it is in all its glory. And I think as a concept, it was kind of co-opted by the 30-somethings and the 40-somethings who thought they were getting so old Oh, they didn't have a clue. And so they're, off jumping out of airplanes, and they're climbing Kathmandu, and they're swimming with in the Amazon, and certainly many of us, there is a percentage of people our age and older who are still living those kinds of bucket lists. But what I heard time and time again in developing this program is that people had so bought into that concept, it had to, if I'm not jumping out of an airplane, it's not a bucket list. And I have really come, especially in this second season, to respect the fact that no, I want a new definition. And maybe you can help me come up with a new. I've racked my brain about how we could redefine it. Because to me, my bucket list is just being engaged in life. However you define that, what that means to you, and to those critics, those judgmental, cynical people out there. You wouldn't believe some of the applications I got, these really snarky, well, can you fly me to see the Northern Lights? And I'd go, yeah, if I had a gazillion-dollar budget and the show wasn't all about Humboldt County. So there's some really good things to be had. For me, I've always liked the concept of a bucket list because I like to be challenged. I like doing new things. That's just, again, kind of how I was raised or how I grew up. I also find it really satisfying to try new things. And I have failed. Sometimes people think, you say, no, I've definitely had my failures, trust me. But there's something to be learned from that. I think my professional experience, as I said a moment ago, really cemented the deal, because it's pretty easy as we age for our lives to become more and more and more narrow. And that is a fact of life. There are some things that we can control. There are many things that we can't control. And so I'm asking all of us to approach this chapter from the perspective of working within what are your possibilities. There was a great book I read a few years ago, and it was a longitudinal study of 10,000 aging folks. I think it was out of somewhere in New York. And they followed them for 10 years. And one of their takeaways after this really in-depth aging study was, be the best you can be at whatever age you are. And to me, that's a really good framework. I've had back surgery. There are things I can't do. I'm taking a movement class. This young woman who she thinks she's old. She's like, God, 40, and she wants us to do this little bounce. I don't bounce with my back. I'm not bouncing. I might stand on my toes and come back down to the ground, but I'm not bouncing. I'm not hopping. I'm not jumping, but it's the best I can do at 71 with a bad back, and I'm having a blast. So that's an example of what I mean, is to be the best you can at whatever age you are. Okay. The other thing that I really want to address is looking at both real and imagined roadblocks to having the kind of life we want to have. The real ones are very obvious. Maybe they're financial, right? Anybody bought a dozen eggs lately? Right? So we've got financial fixed incomes. You do not have the discretionary income you may have had once upon a time. That's a very real possible roadblock. There are physical challenges. Again, I don't bounce, but we all have some of those that we are bringing with us. I had a woman who was kind of, when I taught the class on bucket lists years ago for OLLI, and she was pretty, I wondered what was going on with her. She was pretty judgmental and cynical, on her bucket list. I always wanted to dance the ballet with the Metropolitan, blah, blah, blah. I'll never dance the ballet. And I thought, no, you won't. But, OLLI offers a wonderful class for adults, ballet, who want to do ballet. So it's redefining, readjusting your thinking a little bit. Certainly the pandemic was a huge, huge situation beyond all of our control. And we all, here we are, pats on the back, everybody. We made it through, fantastic. But there was a cultural, a nationwide, a global pandemic that we had no control over. And how did you navigate that? You navigated that by being resilient and probably a lot of problem solving and a lot of slogging. And now we're at the other side. So those can be another roadblock. I find a fair amount of people say, I don't have anybody to do it with. Roadblock. That can be a roadblock. If you're much more comfortable going off and doing something perhaps a little risky, it's oftentimes more fun with a buddy. Or maybe you've lost your husband or your partner. So that can stop people from trying. But again, I think it's finding our way around the roadblock. Now, I'm not going to get too heavy into the what I did for 45 years, which is sort of the psychological piece of this, but I would ask you to think about some things, because sometimes what we're telling ourselves is the biggest roadblock of all. It is truly the biggest roadblock of all. There are so many cultural stereotypes about aging. There are so many messages about how we should be, what we should look like, how we should behave. And it's pretty hard to get away from them. And I'm gonna make another one of my statements where I hope I don't step on too many toes, but I think it's compounded if you're female. Just gonna say. Because we've all been raised with, you better look good, you better weigh 7 pounds, you better have the best fashion. So there's an awful lot of cultural stereotypes out there that as we age become in some ways even more pronounced and more difficult to move around. I think that when we have fully incorporated those into our identities, which is part of what happens with stereotypes, is we begin to believe what everybody else is telling us. So then what the negative chatter is, I can't do that. I'm too old to do that. I'm afraid to do that. I'm going to look foolish if I do that. I had a really dear friend. She was a dynamo, and nothing stopped her. I mean, she was a dynamic, incredible woman. Until she got lung cancer. And she didn't want to stop living. And she didn't have to. I mean, for the first couple of years, she was doing really well with chemo and treatment. And she wanted to go on one last trip, but she was on oxygen. And she and I had coffee, and she said, I don't want to be that little old lady on oxygen. And I said, oh my God, bite the bullet. You want to do this and you can do this, do it. And she, to the end, she would always say, thanks for kicking me in the butt. Easy for me to say, I'm not on oxygen yet. But there was this woman whom I had always seen as nothing would stop her. And for a moment there, she was stopped. And it was a great trip. She had a great time. So I'm going to ask you to do a little exercise. You don't have to talk to anybody about it, just in your own mind. I want you to think of something you'd really, really like to try. Something different. Something you used to do. Just think about it. Okay? Now, what's that inner voice saying to you? What, I had about a month ago, I was feeling like I have a creative spark, and I hadn't been drawing in a long time. And I thought, I went to Michael's and bought myself things, a new sketch pad and everything, and it sat for like 2 weeks. And I thought, what's up with that? And I started listening. I just sat for a minute and thought, what am I thinking? Oh, you can't draw anymore. You never could draw. Why do you think you can draw? It'll be so bad. You haven't drawn in years. It was all that quiet little negative chatter. And I just I just have this really sophisticated approach to that. I say, shut up. Shut up. Go away. Right. I don't think you'll find that in the psych books. But I'm drawing again. That's the point of it, is that recognizing the negative self-talk that we all have, even if we don't want to. It's part of us, I'm afraid. And then talking back to it. All right. So that is something that you can do a lot of time on your own. You just can sit down. If you have a journal, great. If you don't have a journal, great. Just give yourself the gift of confronting some of that negative chatter that is getting in the way of you doing some of the things you want to do. The other thing that I hear often from folks more our age, and this is, I wish we had 2 hours, because I wonder why I hear this more from people our age than from younger folks. I think they have no sense of mortality. I frequently have people say to me, I don't even know how to come up with a bucket list. I can't even think of what, I don't know what to. So here's some guidelines on how to come up with a bucket list. All right. Redefine it your way, which is, what I mean by that is, again, it doesn't have to be this before I die thing. And now, Marianne, I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you listening, Marianne? She's not. Yes.
Here. Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Marianne Mayday is one of my guests in season 2. And she was, I forgot to tell her that there's going to be an article in the Times Standard yesterday. So she opened it up and there she is in all her glory. So my apologies, Marianne. But when I'm thinking about how each of us may want to define a bucket list, one of the reasons I picked Marianne to be on the show was because of how you had redefined your bucket list. Can you go back and remember what you told me? Because I can remember.
Well, okay, there were a couple things. One was the pandemic threw me for a loop. I was in a funk, didn't travel, didn't volunteer anymore, and I felt stuck. But then I also became a grandmother for the first time. And I'm looking at this precious little baby and thinking, I don't want to be in a funk for her. I want to show her that I can still be a vibrant person. And so how can I do something to get myself out of this rut? And so I wanted to try something new.
That's right. And I think that's such a great example. And what you had said also was that you used to have a big bucket list and now it was a little bucket list. And I thought that's a perfect example for me of getting out of that definition that we've been bombarded with and make it something that is viable and practical for us as individuals. And what better motivation than modeling healthy aging for grandbabies? I think that's just brilliant, so thank you for that. So how else can you redefine your bucket list? I've known people who do seasonal bucket lists. They'll pick summer. In the summer, I'm going to do these 3 things. Or next winter, when I can't be gardening, I'm going to do these 3 things. You can have a seasonal bucket list. You could have a bucket list for the whole year, obviously. Never too late. I think you can have an hour bucket list. Engage a friend. If you have a partner, how do you approach something that we could do together? Take an OLLI class. Find somebody that you're sharing the experience with. That will be our bucket list. Another one that I like is a well-being bucket list. I think, sadly, we're all bombarded with kind of a negative thing of take care of yourself. You should do this, you should do this, you should do that. But is there a way to make that a whole lot more positive? Walking in nature is a well-being bucket list thing. Again, it's not all that hard to do. We are surrounded by it. But what might you do for yourself that would bring you pleasure and joy and let you know that you're taking care of yourself? I've used this little model. It's just 5 areas for years and years and years and years. And I keep thinking, God, I should come up with something new for people. But it's so helpful that I think it bears repeating. There are 5 areas of ourselves that for me, I'm always trying to say, keep them in balance. And if you can kind of balance these 5 areas, life will be far less stressful and less strenuous. So they are your physical self, your emotional self, mental, how you're challenged in life, how you're using your brain, your problem solving, all of those executive function things, your social self, and your spiritual side. However that's defined, whether that's mass every morning or a walk on the beach at sunset, however you define your spirituality. And if I'm a real believer, if you concentrate on those 5 areas and look to, you'll notice when you're out of kilt. Like I went into the beginning of this year so out of kilt on my physical self. It had been winter. I hadn't been wanting to walk. December was a flood. So I thought, oh, you're out of whack. Get your physical self a little bit back on track. So for me, again, it's a very quick and easy little thing to check. The other thing when we're talking about how to come up with a list, daydream. How many of you, you don't have to raise your hand, but when I was a kid, I would daydream. Oh my gosh, I'd go around the world. I'd go to the cosmos. I'd daydream. And it's one of those things that we sometimes lose sight of as we age. It's, oh, that's childlike, that you're wasting time. You know, what good is that? It's huge. It's hugely beneficial. You know, stop that inner chatter and daydream. If you're uninspired, get on the good old internet. Type in anything you can think of and you will be inspired. Right now, I'm spending a lot of time in the bulb production world of the Netherlands. Total escapism. Think about what brought you joy when you were a kid. What were the kinds of things that just delighted you as a kid? And then when that negative self-talk comes in, you just tell it to shut up and go away. Maybe the idea of building a sandcastle is not the most grown-up thing, but boy, it's satisfying. So what brought you joy as a kid? What made you laugh? What made you smile? What were the kind of things that, no, I don't want to go to bed, because you're still having a great time? Then the task would be to identify and get over those roadblocks we talked about. So this is what I ask or what I offer you, so that each and every one of you can enrich your own lives a little bit and have your own bucket list, depending on how it is defined. And with that, I'd like to identify Linda Shapiro, who's also here with us. Linda is one of my guests on Bucket List this season. Have I missed? I saw anybody else here? Did Beth show up? Has anyone seen Beth Jin? Dane?
Yeah, Beth's not here yet.
Okay. As we go forth, Dane's going to play a little 5-minute clip about season 2 that the station put together. So you're going to see what is in store for you beginning next Thursday night, starting at 7:30. And remember this, when I originally pitched the concept to KEET, which I didn't really know how to do, but I thought, well, look it up and you'll figure it out. But this was my rationale for what's on your bucket list, and it remains my rationale for season 2. To promote and model healthy, positive aging, to encourage multi-generational activity and interaction, to celebrate rich opportunities and activities here in Humboldt County, and to highlight local businesses. So, Dane, if you have that ready, I'll have you run that. Well, here we go. KEET-TV is happy to announce that a new season of What's on Your Bucket List will be premiering soon. Please join us as our Bucketeers explore the beauty and color of the Humboldt Botanical Garden.
Oh, it is. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, thank you, honey. Oh, aren't they beautiful? beautiful together. Oh.
Meet some new friends at the Sequoia Park Zoo. Learn how to make a custom marble. Create a psychedelic tie-dye shirt.
How am I doing, Tracey?
So far.
See how goat cheese is produced at Cypress Grove Chev. Shear a sheep with the Foggy Bottoms boys. Try to stay afloat on a paddleboard in Humboldt Bay.
How you doing?
Well, it's harder to stand up than I thought.
Yeah. Yep.
Go fly a kite on a windy afternoon.
One, two, pull back and walk. There you go. There you go. All right. Belly. There you go. Now come back over here. Left. Oh, there you go.
Experience the native history of Humboldt Bay while cruising on the Madigan.
Well, there's all kinds of village sites around the bay. During the ceremonies, that's when everybody came out
and stayed.
And take a speeder ride along the train tracks of the bay. So, what's on your bucket list? What's on Your Bucket List premieres Thursday, February 16th at 7:30 on KEET HD.
And we're back. My apologies. That was the speed. It wasn't buffered properly, I don't think. So it was a little bit out of sync, but not so out of sync that it couldn't give you a really good feel for what we've been doing since last year. Having a really good time, I must say. And I want to talk a little bit about what goes into producing a television show, because it's been a learning curve that I'm still on, but I think it's kind of an interesting learning curve. In part because something like this doesn't happen without people like Marianne or Linda or those people who applied. And we started last year about this time, put out the application. We had about 50 people apply again for season 2. And it made going through the selection process a little bit more of a jigsaw puzzle, because we had to not duplicate activities from season 1, but there's always this piece of who are we gonna, like, if I can use Marianne on the paddleboard, and Humboldt HVAC, they were just an amazing, and I just love this young man I worked with from Humboldt who helped me set the whole thing up. But we had to think about the current and the wind and the calendars and who's available when, and constantly watch the weather. So it becomes this real jigsaw puzzle, putting each and every episode together. And we picked, of the 50 applicants, we ended up with 11. We had a couple of alternates that, again, sadly, things happened. People got sick. So we reduced it to 11 people participating. And I think what I like to acknowledge is that these folks who went ahead and applied, I would interview them, I'd meet with them, and I'd ask them about why they did. And maybe now, Linda, can I put you on the spot? Linda Shapiro, you may have recognized her from the very first. She's our opening act come Thursday night. And Linda, what was it? Why did you decide to apply?
Oh, my husband and I used to we watched the other bucket list episodes together, and we got so much joy from watching them. And now my husband's gone, and I thought, well, I'm going to apply because we got so much joy. Maybe I can bring joy to someone else.
Well,
I can't hear you.
Oh, Tracey, your microphone is muted for some reason, so it's not through.
Tracey, we've lost you.
Pardon?
and what, audio or visual?
Audio. We got you again now. You're back.
Sorry. I don't even know what I was talking about, but that probably doesn't matter, because there are lots of reasons why people applied to be on the show. And the thing I want to publicly thank, especially those of you who were my guests, think about this, people. Oh, I want to do this or this or this. But what sometimes people didn't think about was they had to do it in front of a television crew. They had to do it on camera. They had to be okay with us going, oh, let's do that again from shooting over here. Oh, no, would you walk this way, please? Oh, stop, walk backwards. No, talk over here. So the other day I was telling a friend of mine, I'm not going to have the Oscars. I'm going to have the Traceys, because I really feel like a lot of I didn't have one person in 2 seasons who had ever done anything on television. So my hat is off to these folks that they would be willing to try these things. Marianne got up on that paddle board. Yes. That was a great thing.
I will throw it in that, paddleboarding was one part. Seeing how the production was done was fascinating. That was like a class in itself, to see the camera work and that was great.
Well, thank you for, I feel like people were very patient with us, and with the kite segment, it was so windy. We have body mics, which are great, that you don't even know they're there. But for the kite segment, the wind was so loud that day, good for kites, bad for filming in the field, shooting in the field. So we had to use hand mics, kind of like we all grew up with, in the 50s and 60s. I was, talk about a fish out of water. I'd be talking, and then I'd ask a question, and then I'd forget to move the mic, and then I'd have to bring the mic back, So we had to, I felt really badly. We were all learning together that day. I want to thank a public shout out, Sam Green, who's my director, producer, editor, all around good guy down at KEET, and the 2 camera people, David Thompson and Heather Hulbert, who are they're so fun to work with. And they're part of why I wanted to do another season is we just really get along. We just really gel. And they took the newbie in and they'll answer any question I have. They'll walk me through anything I don't understand. And I thought, how lucky am I to be learning this at my age and not feel like just a terrible weak link or that I'm slowing people down or all that negative stuff, right? That negative chatter. You can't host a television show. You're too old. You have to go to school to know how to do that. You don't have the right clothes. It's been fun. Editing, we are up to our eyebrows still. As I speak, I have my bag packed, and as soon as we hang up here, I'm heading down to KEET. We have 2 shows that are done in the can, back from closed captioning. We have 4 to go. We are working. I was up at 5 editing train footage this morning, folks. Because if you think about it, we would have on every shoot, we would have 3 and sometimes 4 cameras. 3, a 1-shot, a 2-shot, a handheld, and oftentimes a drone. We've got some incredible footage with the drone. So if we're on a shoot for 4 hours, that means 4 times 4 hours for each camera. So there's 16 hours of footage to go through to edit it down to a 12.5 minute segment. From 16 hours to 12 minutes. So that's why you get up at 5 o'clock and do it. And I told my husband, I think I'm too old for this job. I want to sleep in. But I love editing. And I think that's the other thing I would encourage you to do is to find something that fires you up. Editing is just storytelling. It's absolutely storytelling, except in a different form. It's taking sound bites, it's taking visuals, it's going, oh, we can go to the drone here because then you'll see this incredible bay. And it was a gorgeous day. So it really is storytelling. Or when we took Linda to the botanical gardens, that's where we had the drone. And there's just a couple of great shots that help us tell the story to you visually. So we don't need words. We can let the camera do the work. We're getting close on time here. What else did I want to tell you?
Tracey.
This references back to the negative self-talk, because one of the things I observed in myself was the difference in me between season 1 and season 2. I had settled in. I felt like I had, in fact, learned something, which was delightful at this age. Last week, we realized as we were editing, we needed more B-roll. B-roll is that whether it's a still picture or action, but it supports the narrative, because it's just really boring to see people just talking all the time. And so the more visual elements you can include in a production, the more entertaining it is. We're a visual species. So we had to meet one of our guests. We set it up really quickly. And we went off to shoot just for about an hour. And David said, he said, well, what do you want? And I said, and I started to explain it. And I said, well, Sam's a director. And he said, but you know what you want. He said, and I said, actually, I do. I want you to come in over her shoulder and I want you to zoom in. And it was really surprising that I had sort of incorporated, I had enough experience by now that I thought, yeah, you know what I want. That said, my husband is at a point where he says, I can't watch movies with you anymore. I said, why not? And he says, because you've become a continuity freak. Do you know what continuity is, folks? So for an example, we're watching something the other night, and it's a period piece, an Irish period piece, and she's coming through the moors and she falls down in the mud and she gets up and she's trudging through the moors. Well, when she fell down and got back up in the next scene, her dress wasn't muddy. Right? Glaring continuity problem. So I've told my crew, forgive me, I can get a little OCD on continuity, because I think in some ways, it's because I was a therapist all those years. I'm so used to observational stuff, watching facial expressions, listening to tone of voice, where people looking when they say things, that for me, it was a natural extension in editing to have those things really matter. Because they'll say, it doesn't matter if her hand was going this way in that shot and this way in that shot. People won't notice. They'll say, I notice. Beth, I don't know if you were aware. I'm going to welcome Beth. Can we do video with you, Beth, or are you on your phone?
I'm on a computer, so let's go for it.
Okay, I can't see you, but Beth Jin, she was the brave woman shearing that sheep. And that was one of the most fun that I had, was shearing the sheep, because it was outlandish to me that someone would want to shear a sheep. It was also incredibly difficult to set up. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to thank the Humboldt County Farm Bureau, I think was their name. They finally hooked me up with the Foggy Bottoms boys. Has anybody heard of the Foggy Bottoms boys? Oh my gosh, you got to follow those young men. They're amazing. Because Beth wanted to shear a sheep. You want to tell people why, Beth?
Basically, because I've never done it.
Exactly. And
why not?
Yeah, right? You've never done it, so why not? To me, that's, as I was talking about earlier, a bucket list is simply doing something you've always wanted to do, because why not? And you did it, and you did it very well. As we noted at the end, the little sheep had all her body parts, and was actually, Beth would pet her and the sheep would kind of go to sleep. You could be a sheep whisperer, Beth.
What was interesting about the whole thing was right after you called me and said, we're going to do it, my daughter called me, not knowing any of this, and said, guess what, Mom? I just got 3 sheep. So it's kind of like making things happen, not even thinking about it.
Are you going to shear her sheep for her, Beth?
No.
Well, you had a great attitude, and we had incredible hosts. I think that day was so much fun, in part because of these delightful young men who, and I think that's consistent with a lot of these businesses and agencies that host us. They really come to the table. They really throw themselves into the experience. I think, at the gardens or paddle boarding, they seem to have as much fun as we do, which is part of the payoff for me, because it was hard for me to learn how to call up and ask for free stuff. And that's what I'm asking all of these people for. Free time, free this, free that. Our sheep shearer actually came down from Oregon to participate in the show. He is a sweet young man. He's a special ed teacher in an elementary school up in Klamath. And he came down, took his weekend and came down and taught Beth how to, and you and Cody seem to have pretty good rapport, Beth.
We did good. He was so fun. And so he made it so easy. Mm-hmm. He did his sheep, and that's the way I was afraid I would have to do it. And I didn't think I could manhandle that little sheep.
Yeah.
But then he had a special table for me, and it was awesome. And he walked me through the whole thing. It was terrific.
So I want to leave time for questions. We're at 1:00. I want to see if there's anything. To finish up, I just want to revisit what goes into the production, because we were talking about the B-roll, but the other thing is voiceovers, and you'd all recognize it when you hear it. So the first thing that happens with all this footage is we create what is called a time code. So this morning at 5, I'm watching footage, and if there's a sound bite I want to capture, I catch it and I write down when it started in and when it stops out. So you develop what's called a time code, and those are the sound bites around which you're going to tell the story. Then to transition, like in writing, you have, written transitions. Well, in editing, you might do a voiceover, which means, I think, and then it was time for Beth to shear a sheep, might be a voiceover. So we write the voiceovers. There's also, you have to do, it's called a tease, where you, what's on next? You have to do a promo. You have to open it. You have to close it. You have to list all the credits. You have to remember not to forget anybody. I'm really worried I'm going to forget people when I'm doing credits. So there's so many different pieces to get us to that 12 minutes and 30 seconds. So we may start with 16 hours of footage. I think that's all I have. Marketing and publicity. Technically, that's what we're doing here, what I'm telling you all about. But it's on social media, which Heather's done a great job doing that. I have missed Jan a few times this season, not going to lie, but part of it was because she and I split this job for season 1. And this time it's really been me. And I think that's why I'm ready to go on vacation in April. As much as I love it. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to. Oh, I will say one thing that as far as editing goes, by the time we actually send that little segment off to the captioners, in fact, Sam and I were sitting there. Now, when I say edit, we're in a room, 2 chairs side by. I mean, it's the teensiest little room down at KEET. We're cheek by jowl, and he's tall and I'm taller. We're in there, but we can now mouth the words. We know who's going to say what, where, when. I have Marianne. I've been able to recount your lines to a T. Linda, you and Beth. We're going to share a sheep. That's in my brain. We're going to share a sheep. So you do get to spend a lot of time with the footage. I guess let's open it up. Any questions? A last reminder. Thursday night. We do have a fun last episode. I will say that. Very different request. We had a wrap party for everybody, which was great fun for the people who could make it. And our last bucketeer, as they are affectionately known among the KEET staff, KEET crew, bucketeers, wanted to do something, but she would only do it if I joined her. So that's all I'm going to say about the last one. You need to tune in and see me make a total fool of myself. No. Boy, did we have fun. Questions? Anybody? Oh, Karen, I see Karen was in season 1. She was our great watercolor lady. I'd like to open it up. How do you apply? A question just came in. How do you apply? Or maybe it's been sitting there and I'm terrible at reading the chats. Pardon me. Well, you can apply as soon as we decide if there's a season 3. That's the reality. Because in a perfect world, we would be sending out applications next month, because the process is so labor intensive that different applications would have to go out. They all come back in. I review every application and narrow it down to about 20 to 25 people. Then I have to interview all of those people. Then I have to see if what they want to do makes any sense. Is it a duplication from season 1 and season 2 now? Then with our eye on shooting and weather, it would have to be spring or summer, probably summer or fall. And then we start editing. And I'm just going to be honest with you folks. I'm not sure I got it in me. I don't know. I don't know if I can turn it around this quickly to start up the whole thing again in a matter of weeks. So that is, I don't think it's the physical outlay as much as there are other things I like doing at this point in my life. I wanna hook up that beautiful little wooden trailer my husband made us and have about a 5-week camping trip. You know, stuff like that. We're moving our boat up to Portland. It's going to go in a marina in Portland with our son, so he and his family can use it and we can have the boat up there. So as far as how can you apply, stay tuned to see if I can figure out when to do a season 3. And I wish I had. Yeah.
Tracey, why don't you consider inviting the membership to see if there's anyone who would like to join you in this process, because you have lost Jan. And perhaps there are others who'd like to participate in helping you do this.
Yeah,
and
anybody
want to have the same experience.
Good idea. You want to be a television producer? Anybody? Drop me an email. Let me know. It would be great to share it again. And that has, frankly, that has been part of it, is that because I'm doing
all of it.
Jobs. It's
She's
just
doing all of it.
Yeah, it's been a bit much for me this season.
We all do better if we have buddies. The other thing that I think everybody should keep in mind is David Attenborough, who at age 96 is still going strong and doing new. I think he's got another Frozen Planet in the works. He keeps producing these phenomenal videos and having great experiences. And he's just, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he's a phenomenal role model.
Yeah. Oh,
we can't all plan on having the backing and support he has, but look at the fun he has climbing trees and with the monkeys, and there are all kinds of adventures. And Mary Keane's having a wonderful adventure with her new project. Projects can be ventures.
Yes.
And joining Tracey and doing this can be another adventure. It doesn't just have to be one more person, it could be a group. So
I think I think that's a great idea. I would love to share the responsibility with someone that speaks to my heart and my sanity. I also think that if I had the resources David Attenborough had, I might do about 10 more seasons.
Yeah. So the issue is finding the resources.
Well, yeah. We support OLLI and we support PBS. So if you're not a member, be a KEET member. The thing I want to say about KEET is that David Gordon, who is the executive director down there, who's been on board about as long as I started working down there, he is such a believer in local television, local stories. And to put money into season 2, this has not been underwritten by anybody. Normally they have underwriters. This is just a station expense. They believe in it. They feel like the show has really resonated with the community, and we found great new guests. And as I said, I am my own roadblock this time around, because they would go for number 3. And someone had asked about if there's a theme. There's never a theme. We just have to keep coming up with different things to do in Humboldt County. And which is interesting, because some people would apply for stuff and I'd go, well, technically that's Del Norte County, or technically that's Mendocino County. And so we also have to keep in mind travel time. There's only so much we can do.
How do we see a list of the shows that have already happened so that we can compare our ideas with what has already been covered?
That's Mandy, that's great. You can go to KEET's YouTube channel, KEET.org on YouTube, and I think they still have run season 1. I'm pretty sure they got everything onto their YouTube channel. As far as watching the show, you can we'll watch it we stream. We don't have a traditional television anymore. So you can watch it on channel 13, Thursday night, 7:30, or you can stream it on your computer at KEET.org. And if you go to KEET.org, it's up at the top, and you just keep clicking, and all of the episodes are listed and what they're about. So you can just click and stream it that way on your computer.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Dane, for putting up KEET.org. Other questions, comments? Anybody else? Am I missing anybody?
Well, thank you ever so much, Tracey. This was wonderful. And we'll look forward to seeing this starting on Thursday.
Thursday night.
Everybody forget.
Premiere. Thank you
all. On Thursday. And I want to remind you that next week, February 20th, Elliot Paravar is going to talk about botany for gardeners, where you can gain a deeper understanding of the science behind the plants we grow. And if any of you haven't for some reason received a catalog, you can pick one up at Wild Berries or Eureka Foods or any number of different locations. So we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. And thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, Tracey, so much.
Thank you all. It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Dane, Jane. Thank you all. Thanks, Marianne, Beth. I'm talking really fast. Karen, yes, yay. All right, everybody. Nice to see you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks for joining, everybody.
Bye.
All right, I'm going to stop
Have a
recording.
great vacation, Tracy.
Thank you.